If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VillageXchange. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We have arrived.
We have. And we have an Insomnium stream tonight. All the songs tonight are from the 2021 Argent Moon album.
What's the name of that?
Well, I was going to say Ardent Moon, and then I realized it was a G, and so that's why it sounded a little choppy. But it's Argent Moon, I guess that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, it looks like Argent Moon by Insomnium.
Oh, so DJ Ben Bear says, although not from a very popular era of Insomnium, I really like this EP. Tonight, Vin and Sori review Argent Moon 2021 by Insomnium. Okay, so Ben, surprise, we think we have a fix for playing the official videos straight out. We've got like a little overlay that shout out to Amy Lee Forever she made for us. Yeah. So we've got that. We're going to try it out in tonight's stream. It should hopefully keep it from getting blocked, but make it so we can all enjoy the official videos together. So visually they're going to be like a little bit more difficult to see, but we're still going to be able to get there from here.
All right. Ben promised me a Beatles stream.
Well, he lied.
Either he lied or you lied. Right now, dear listener. All right. Song numero uno. All right,
first song is The Conjurer by Insomnium. What are you doing?
Well, it says official timestamp.
Yeah, but that's just because they weren't going to line up and he was just giving us information. But we're playing the official anyway. So The Conjurer is up first. Let's check it out.
Shout out to Kevin. The Conjurer is first. Insomnium. We're Vid and Sori. Let's go.
We are.
What have you just done?
I dimmed the lights.
Okay.
Okay.
That works. And here we go. The Conjurer.
Ooh, okay.
This is the official.
Wow. Wow. Damn. Wow.
Wow.
Uh-oh. Wow.
That was Insomnium.
The name of the song is The Conjurer. That was an interesting title.
Yeah.
For the song.
Considering, the song that we...
Yeah.
It's, go ahead. There was a couple lines in there. I was like, oh, that's some Vin and Sori shit in there.
Yeah. So
I was going to see if you...
What? I mean, are you kidding me?
What?
Of course, I thought that too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
But it was sad because it wasn't a happy ending.
Well, maybe it's a concept record.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, all of the next 4 songs, all 4 of these songs are from the same album, so who knows?
Guys, we should be in 4K right now, so you should be able to update your thingamajiggy to 4K.
Check it out. Let us know how it is.
Let's see how it goes. We're trying to get everything set up for the big reveal for season 3.
You know what? I am gonna.
Hopefully this works. Go ahead.
Okay, so the song to me was like a relationship song. And it sounds like, I
actually think this was a relationship song. I'm not going to lie to you. I think this one was a relationship song.
I don't know. It could be anything else. Yeah, it definitely seemed like a relationship song. Seems like they're, they started out like, do you remember? He's talking about when they used to watch the moon together, how they counted the stars together. Some memories are coming back to me. Inhaled the night. Do you still remember? Do you even care? Words spoken in the darkness and the promises made. Ooh, you talk.
Why?
'Cause I need a minute.
Interesting.
I'm like coming into this like weird new space where like memories are like coming back to me that have been long forgotten. And so like in this moment, like memories return to me and I was not expecting it.
Oh, I see.
They're good times.
I see. He goes, 4K? Wait, Vin and Sori are an interracial couple? Who knew? Somebody asked me if I was a black Hebrew Israelite yesterday.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
I was like,
wait, what? Do not see me here. Okay. Okay. So,
yeah, definitely. We'll raise the volume for sure.
So
I wasn't gonna let you get away with it. Go ahead, tell the world. I'm saying like you're saying you enjoyed the song, so let us know.
Well, it's some of it is personal.
I see.
I was just gonna like you said you like brought us into it, but I wasn't gonna do that. I was like, I thought I was being all slick. I was like, I'm gonna break down this song. I'm never gonna mention us, but I'm gonna be like, oh, it's about this couple. Blah blah. Okay, so go ahead. What were we gonna say? What?
Shout out to Tony. Yeah, I've heard about Bellacore. I'm just not gonna do it. Go ahead, start talking.
Well,
stop trying to run away from your feelings.
This couple, they're under the moon together. It seems like their time is spent there. I think that obviously, you've said a bunch of times, Vinny's an insomniac, so if you want to hang out with Vinny, that's when you're gonna have to do it. Twist up your entire schedule. I think I'm driven by the sun, and I love the way that the sun feels on my skin. I love that, but you're like a night person and a moon person, and so I've been living my life under the moon's light.
I'm a nocturnal animal for sure. Mm-hmm. Like I get energy from the night.
And I'm the opposite. I get energy from the sun.
Like other normal human beings.
Right. I'm not a vampire. Although I am into the vampire stories a little bit, so welcome to my world.
Right. So unfortunately, you ended up with one.
It's just, it's kind of romantic. They're talking about watching the moon and counting the stars together and like inhaling the night and
Well, shit. If I'd have known that CISO was up that late, I would be messaging you at that time, my man. Now that I know that, excellent. Now I can ruin other people's lives as well. We continue.
Inhaling the night. I really liked that line because as much as I love the sun, there is something about when you inhale the night, like that air at night is just different than the daylight air. And there was I'm like dancing between what's too personal and what's not. This one's a cool memory, but I'm not sure if it's okay. One time, Vinny and we went to the ocean. Now you gotta understand, Maine oceans are not like every other place. They're cold, and they're there's a black metal feel to them because they're pretty dark at night. Like they're not well lit. Like everything is shut down, and the way that the moon is like looks really far away. It doesn't look like a big giant moon on the water. It just looks like really far away. So the moon was like at a really kind of distant spot, but at the same time it was sort of inviting night, and the weather was just perfect. It was like just enough cool where it was the perfect night. And we climbed to the top of this like
I remember
little
this.
mountainous rock.
Everything
in Maine is small also, so whatever you want to call it, it was a rock, but it felt larger than that. I mean, you know, we got up to the top of it, and Vinny's always like bringing stuff like outside of the box. So you grabbed onto my arms and you looked at me and you were like, just feel the moment, like experience the moment. I'm like, huh? What do you mean? And you were like, use all of your senses right now. And it was like seeing the backdrop of the darkness and the ocean and the moon, and then breathing in that night air and hearing the sounds of the ocean. And I even think there might have been people still like kind of exiting the park.
Yeah.
But they were like just like backdrop noise, and almost like it, you know, like when you see, this is when you see in a movie, like they're having like that moment and then like the camera does like a 360 around them. It was like one of those moments. Like it was a really, really cool moment. And it had started me on a journey of like trying to be completely present everywhere I was. I ended up jumping off of that cart at some point, but I'm now joining back on that cart again, where I'm like, okay, experience everything that you can in the moment with all of the senses that you can. Sometimes when you're like, I guess maybe full of anxiety or
it was
whatever,
a windy.
really
It was a kind of a windy night that night.
Yeah, it was.
But it wasn't oppressively cold, which is extremely rare in this state, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I remember that time pretty distinctly. And a lot of the times, like, there's always a running narrative in my head. So it's kind of like, yo, this is like this singular moment. And then there's this other part of me that was like, you have to be outside of the moment to know that you're in a moment.
I know. Yeah.
And so I just kind of like was like, oh, you're doing it again. And then you have to be outside of that moment to understand that you're not experiencing the moment. You're filtering it through cognition. So like, that's a very complex thing to do, man, is to really and completely exist in the moment and not
jump on the narrative that goes with the moment.
Kastrup calls it, meta thinking, like knowing that you're thinking.
Yeah.
And it's an extremely difficult thing to do. If you were to try to explain thinking about thinking, it sounds like absolute gobbledygook. That's why a lot of times people are like, oh, Jordan Peterson, it's a word salad. It's like, yeah, because they're trying to describe something that's we don't really have a lexicon for. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's like, I remember that specific night, and I just remember like the things I was telling you, I was telling myself. It
felt like that too.
Being a deep thinker is like cool, but there are like hamstrings to it.
There are drawbacks for sure.
And a lot of that has to do with like how you experience. And I think that's the reason like music is so important to me, because music is a space where I can do both. I can be analytical and be a meta thinker, and I can also not analyze a fucking thing and just be in the moment and go where the lyrics and the sounds take you, the emotions and all that.
Yeah.
So but I remember like it was a giant. It's been a challenge with me. Like, I forgot who the philosopher was, but he was basically saying like he wanted to find a pure moment of just pure existence type of thing, and he was basically saying like it's a lifelong endeavor to try to get that one pure moment when you're just a complete experiencing things and not experiencing being experienced, if that makes sense.
It does make complete sense.
It's very difficult to use.
It's actually, for a mom, when I'm holding my babies,
Ineffable is the
I
word.
like whoop, right into those. Like I'm not. There's no dialogue. It's just a moment. It's the simplest moment that I can experience. I'm not sure. Like when I'm holding them, especially when even Senny's age, where he's still like he's like a little butterball. He's like a little chubby-ish, like, and like when I hold him, yeah, when I hold on to him and he like looks up at me, it's like all of the dialogue stops and I'm just like in that moment with him and I cannot believe, and then the dialogue will start because it's like, this is insane. Like this human being was not, and now they are, and I was part of the process and you were part of the process, and look at, here he is with his own mind and his own attitudes, and it's just a crazy but yeah, so that they're kind of having this moment where they're having words that they're speaking to each other and they're making promises. The next one, do you remember at all? We too made the winds rise. That to me, I love that line because I can't think about winds without thinking about the Holy Spirit. And out of the Trinity, the Holy Spirit, I would say, is the one that I've had the longest like relationship with, that I've been aware of. Like I think you're always, as a Christian, having a relationship with the Trinity as a whole because they're one God. But at the same time, like I think that you kind of just like relate or whatever, like, and you're more cognizant of one, that's heretical, one part, but you get what I'm saying, like one person of the Trinity. And so that to me, like Vinny and I have done like some crazy things in regards with the Holy Spirit, and a lot of really cool stories in that regard. So that was what it like, make the winds rise. Like who can make the winds rise? But like we made the winds rise in a lot of situations.
The reason why wind reminds her of the Holy Spirit is because in the Greek language and in the Hebrew language, and in the Arabic language, there is no difference between the term wind and the term spirit. Okay? So like, for example, one legitimate translation of Genesis 1:3 would be, and the wind of God brooded over the waters.
Yeah.
Instead of the Spirit of God. So the wind and the Spirit are literally interchangeable words, and Jesus connects them in John chapter 3 when he says, the wind comes and you see its effect, but you don't know where it came from, and you can't control where it's going. And Jesus says, so is everyone born of the Spirit, which is a play on words in the Greek, because he says the pneuma goes to and fro, you don't know where it's coming. Then he goes, so it is with everyone born of the pneuma.
Yeah.
So Jesus was smart.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I used to think, man, this shit is simple as hell, bro. Like I was like, I didn't really think Jesus was that smart, But then as you age, like I start laughing, and you like start like learning the language, and you're like, or when you see how significant some of his answers were, like render to Caesar what is Caesar's, and it's like nobody would dare. And I remember being a kid and be like, how is that a response? Like
that's how I always felt. I was like, man, there he goes. He's never answering the question.
I'm like, that's not a real gotcha moment. I'm like, I used to be like, man, you're just saying that.
But then when you realize you're made in the image and likeness of God, give unto Caesar what is Caesar, give unto God what is God's. You belong to God. Give yourself to God. Like it's much bigger than what it sounds. It's not just about money.
You made vows to return to me on the shore by the silent sea. How we lost it all.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like that was. It looked like it didn't end pretty well for these guys.
That's what I was saying. But you were like, well, it's a concept album. Maybe something will come. I wasn't sure if...
Is this song one on the concept record too? That's the other question I had.
I don't know. We'd pull up Genius. When it said, you made the vows to return to me on this shore by the silent sea, I wasn't sure if... It was like so many stories that kind of started with that. I was like, is that, did the person, like, were they Navy? You know what I mean? The guy left and he's promising he's going to return to her. He's going to come back from the sea. You know what I'm saying?
Was he in the Navy, you're saying?
Yeah, like, like one of those type of stories where he was going to go off and he's saying, I'm going to return to you by the silent sea. Or is it one of those situations where, like, maybe life was going to kind of take them in two different directions, but they made vows and promises to each other that they were going to return to those shores and, like, be together again, like, after it? Mm-hmm. But then it says...
Yeah, it's a trinary, Danny. Right?
What?
God would be non-binary.
Oh.
He would be trinary, because we're Trinitarians. But anyway, go ahead.
Then he says, how we lost it all below the Argent Moon. Do you know what Argent means?
Okay, here we go. So Ben just This song is one. You guys are doing a chronologically correct song by song review of the Argent Moon EP. Okay, so this is the entire EP, guys.
Wait, there was only 4 songs in the total thing, or is he saying we're doing the first 4?
There's 4. I think he's saying chronologically correct song by song review of the song by song would be.
Okay.
I'm assuming, but so there's still gonna be other things that are gonna build up on this. So maybe we'll get more context. But it looks like. You made the vows to return to me. How we lost it all.
But then, I thought maybe he was leaving to go on the something or other. But then after, he's the one that's singing.
She didn't come back.
Right. He's the one that's waiting on the shore. So, it sounds like she found somebody else, because he says, and I know it in my heart, you will never come to me by the side of someone else. You will watch the gleaming skies. I shall tear down all the stars, steal the moon from the heaven's arms.
That's a good line.
They will never shine upon your path as you roam the endless night. It's interesting because he says gleaming skies. Does that make you think of night or day?
Night. I think it is, because he talks about the stars and the moon. So that's a night. That's a night.
So he's gonna remove all the beauty from the night sky.
Their thing used to be nature. They used to go outside at night and look at the stars and the sea and all the rest of it. And now she's going to be doing that with somebody else. And so now he's saying he wants to tear down the stars and the moon because that's a reminder to him that she's enjoying that with somebody else. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's a pretty brilliant way of saying you're struggling with a breakup.
Yeah. But then he says this one, like, that one I was a little bit
like... If I can't share the moon with you, no one will.
Yeah.
Tina in this bitch!
What's up, Tina? You know, like, when people will be like, if I can't have you, no one else can. And then they, like, friggin' kill the person or something.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of like what it made me think of. Like, I was kind of, like, rocking with it the whole time. And then it got to that line. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah, but that's a pretty common trope or theme in metal, right? Like, you can never just say you love the girl. It's always got to have some weird stalker.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's
got to have some weird stalker thing attached to it. We've had these debates before where it's like, you know, girls will say that that's dangerous if they don't like the guy, but if the guy's hot, they'll say that it's, you know, mysteriously tall, dark, and handsome, whatever. You know, like...
Yeah, I mean, if you wrote this for me, I'd be like, oh, wow, he's really serious about the night.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not... And it's hard for me because, like, I don't know... This is actually a serious discussion. Somebody put something on Twitter about, like, how girls feel when they reject a guy. And they say... they're like, you know, this could cost us our lives type of thing. And I was like... damn, is it really like that? And of course, they don't know me.
Yeah.
Right? So there was a lot of like, he's pretending, he knows how bad dudes are, blah, 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 blah. And I was just watching. And of course, dudes jumped into my rescue. You know, they're like, you know, people really started saying some crazy shit to these women. And I was just like, yo. Like.
What do you mean crazy? Like, because they don't agree?
They were saying, they're like, yo, the dude's like, because I mentioned I have 2 daughters. So they were like, the dude is asking for his daughters. He's like, he's not trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't trying to like say that that's not an issue for women. I was just saying like, how prevalent is that? I've got girls that are 14, 16, about to turn 15 and 17. You know, and I'm thinking through the whole, like, how do I balance out giving them their freedom and making sure they're okay? And at the same time, making sure that they understand, like, he might look nice now, but if he gets you in a car by himself and you say no, X, Y, Z. So I was just trying to get a lay of the land on the thing, and they were not charitable initially in their responses because, you know, I think they were on the defensive. They're like, how could you not know? Blah, blah, blah. You know, and so I eventually got in a conversation with one of these people, and they had a couple good things. I screenshotted it, but yeah, man, it's a thing. I
know for me, whenever I said no to people, I always would either lie and said I had a boyfriend, or there was a time I broke up with somebody, but I made it like I completely hid the fact that I was gonna break up with them until I got back to my house. And I knew that there were people at the house because I didn't know.
That's a dude. Yeah.
He had already, you know, he had already shown me the type of person that he was. But now I look back and I'm like, that was not a fail-safe, because my father wasn't even home. Like, it was just us girls, and he had already been aggressive with me when my mom was there, but she just was in the other room.
There was also a significant age gap at the time as well.
Oh, there was a huge age gap. He was 33 years old and I was 18. I can't believe that was happening. Now that I'm like, oh my God, like, our daughter is at the what the fuck? But I mean, yeah. I mean,
it's mind-boggling to me. That's Zoe in a year.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, when I look at that, I'm like, wait, what? How did that even happen?
That's insane.
It was insane, and the entire situation was crazy as well. Like, it was not weird.
Yeah. That was a pretty crazy situation.
Yeah. So I mean, I just say that to say, like, you know, I think that they're right, and if you look at, you know, like, you remember that person that was like, they couldn't believe the girl said no to them and went with somebody else, and they felt that they should be with them. Like, that sort of.
I saw it. I've seen it in dudes. Like, before I knew, like, the whole, like, you know, I don't want to insult anybody, but, like, the incel terminology, like, that was definitely, that energy was definitely there with this particular guy. But, like,
yeah,
you know, it's always a back and forth, you know, and that now, like, now that I'm thinking about the girls, it takes on just a different layer for me. You know, before, every time we talk about it, I just, you know, me and you, or high school, or whatever. But, like, now I've got high school age daughters, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, you can't, we've taught them, we've trained them, you know, how to handle things and what God says about marriage and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, like, they've got to go out and like, they got to make their own decisions. And I'm not probably, you know, especially one of them, I'm probably not going to agree with certain decisions, but at the end of the day, as long as the girls are safe and shit, then, you know, that's all you can ask for or whatever. But yeah, it's a pretty,
one of them asked,
it's pretty, it's something I think about a lot.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually don't think about it a lot. It's a very scary thought.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because, like, I had absolutely no fear when I was the girls. I mean, by that time it was already over with. Mm-hmm. By the time I was 17, it was already over with. You know, we'd been in New York City for quite some time at that point, and you know, it is what it is. But yeah, it's tough. And then songs like this, I'm like, I to this moment, like, I don't know, like, is that really romantic, or is that, like, toxic or whatever? I mean, obviously this guy doesn't truly believe he's going to destroy the moon, and
yeah,
you know, and I do think, like, isn't there room for being like, yeah, if I truly loved you like that, of course I don't want to see you with somebody else. Like, is there room for a person, like, feeling that way and expressing that, but knowing that obviously I'm not going to do anything crazy? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, are we overreacting, taking this shit too serious? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I hear your question. I mean, I don't really have an answer either. I think to myself, like, there's some stuff that, like, you know, I might be good for, and I might be good with in my relationship, but then I'm like, if that was happening with my kids, would I be okay with that? Or would I be like, hey, I don't like that? Because I think that in relationships, there's, you know, everybody has different lines. And I think that part of the thing is, I think the major thing is knowing where your lines are and then having someone that can respect those lines. And, you know, some people are going to be good with more stuff than other people. And some people are going to be, you know, the lines are just going to be in different places for different people. And I think if you love and you respect another person, and that's kind of the cool thing about the Bible when it talks about sex, it actually uses the concept of knowing another person. So it's not lost in the, you know, like, that's like, this is how it's described. It's not, I have somebody's story in my head right now that was just crazy. Anyway, like, I think that, you know, when you know somebody, then, you know, and you both are on the same page with certain things or whatever, then that's one thing. But at the same time, like, I don't know. But how much are you going to actually know about your kids' relationships? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much are they going to talk? Because at some point when they get married, you know what I mean? Like they're now married to somebody and their relationship is not your business. It's their business with their spouse.
Yep.
So, you hope that you've taught them enough to where they're going to be able to, work with another human being and figure out ways that they can make their relationship work and thrive and build a family and do what it is that God wants them to do. One of our kids is starting to read through the Bible. That's pretty cool.
I mean,
On their own volition.
Yeah, I just think everybody's got to kind of make those decisions, and all you can do as a parent is, it's always said, like, our job is to work ourselves out of a job as a parent. You know, like your kid, they should have some autonomy by this age, and they should have their own philosophies. Like, that's the other thing too. You have your religion, you have science, you have this. But everybody has their own personal life philosophy where they take all those ideas and they bring them down into, this is how I personally am going to live. It doesn't matter what you say as a parent. Every person has a different way of doing that. Mm-hmm. Pulling from those levers to navigate the world. And you got to understand as a parent, like, they're not gonna adopt yours. Like, it's like literally impossible. They're not gonna adopt yours. So I give them principles and I say, I pull this lever when this happens, and here's why I do it this way. But they've gotta, figure this out. And unfortunately, this is part of it. Relationships where I may not necessarily approve or think is safe or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's their life. So, we worry and we teach and all the rest, but it's their, she's got to do, it's their life,
Yep.
So,
well, let's see what's going to happen with these people as time continues.
One thing is for certain, your children will surprise you. Hope for the best.
I believe it.
All right. 9.2.
9.8.
9.2. We will see you beautiful people on the other side of the break. Vin and Sori. Insomnium in this bitch. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.